Okay, today, oh, yeah, we're live. So today is yoga for anxiety, and this week's theme is contentment. We're starting a little late if you're joining us live today, sorry about that. We are going to work with contentment. So as you start to land, come on down to your back. I'm going to talk for a little bit. So come on down to your back, start to land on the ground, and start to focus on just really grounding, feeling your body on the ground, on the mat, on space, really starting to land in the room. I'm going to talk a little bit about contentment. So there's this thing that happens in the holistic world, the alternative health world, that tends to be this think only happy thoughts, think only clean happy thoughts, everything's clean and rosy, and we try to paint a rosy picture over everything. It's a common thing that happens in this industry. Contentment does not need to mean pretending to be happy all of the time. So contentment is a much bigger problem, much bigger concept, Contentment is learning to be content even amongst the chaos. Learning to find ways to be comfortable even when everything around us is chaos. So there are lots of tricks we can use. Part of it is grounding. Part of it is getting used to being in this body, knowing what is going on in this body, in this whole body system. And part of it is also practicing contentment within your practice, within your mat, on your mat, so that you can take it out, learn little ways to take it out into your life. So we're going to work with contentment throughout practice today. So on your back, grounding down, and grounding down means being here on the mat. So what is here on the mat? Your physical body is here on the mat. Your breath is here in this physical body. And your thoughts are in your head, but they might be swirling off into yesterday or tomorrow. So maybe taking a moment to pull your focus. So not really trying to get rid of our thoughts, but just trying to draw our focus into the physical experience that we're having. Maybe really thinking about how your breath feels when it comes in the body. When we have a lot of anxiety, sometimes we can have some tension around our breath. So we're going to think about that for a little bit and work with it. So if it's comfortable for you, warm your hands and bring them just underneath your rib cage. So right underneath your rib cage is space where your breath makes your stomach move. And just start to connect with this space. Sometimes we have a lot of tightness around our breath, especially if we've been feeling tight and anxious for some time. People that have suffered with trauma often have a lot of tightness around our breath. So starting to connect with this space and imagining that our hands could soften this space, soften any tension resting here. And then we're going to warm our hands again. And we're going to bring them up onto our chest. So wherever is comfortable for you, just trying to resting your hands here and imagining the warmth of your hands could soften some of the tension around our chest. So many times, people describe anxiety as the feeling of like an elephant sitting on your chest. So imagine the soft warmth of your hands could take some of that weight off your chest. Just watching your breath flow in and out and feeling your warm hands on your muscles. Maybe you can imagine the warmth of your hands having a color and it spreading in underneath all the muscles, maybe even starting to spread up into the neck. Softening, softening, softening. And then warm your hands again. This time we're going to place them on our neck. So take your fingertips down, place your hands on your neck, wherever is comfortable. If it makes you more anxious to bring your hands all the way around your throat, bring them to the sides of your neck. Make a little space, make sure that you're comfortable. Maybe a soft touch, maybe even just next to your neck. You can feel the warmth of your hands even if you're not quite touching the skin. Lots of options. Have an exploration and feel what feels right for you. Have an experience. Connect to the feeling of your breath as it moves down your throat. Maybe imagining the warmth of your hands is making more space for your throat, more space for your breath. And then warm your hands again, and this time we're going to place our hands on our face or just above our face. So feel the warmth of your hands on the muscles of your face. Imagine the warmth of your hands is slowly drawing all the tension out of your forehead, out of the muscles around the eyes, even down into the jaw. And again, focus in on your breath and imagine there's more space in your nose, more space at the top of your throat for your breath to move in. And then let your arms fall down wherever they're comfortable and take a moment just to say to yourself, I am here now. In this grounding sentence, say it to yourself a couple of times. See if you can start to feel like you're really landing in this moment in time, in this physical practice. And this in itself is a practice of contentment. You're not running away from yesterday. You're not running towards tomorrow. We're practicing being right here, right now, in this body, in this space. And we don't have to get it perfect. We don't have to berate ourselves for the times that we fall into our common patterns of running into worries of tomorrow and fears of yesterday. But we can just practice and celebrate the times that we land in our physical body and take a moment to be content in the present moment. So we're going to take our practice nice and gentle and easy today. Moving slow, moving with our body, trying to be present with every movement we take. So begin to wiggle your toes, start to feel your feet. Wiggle your toes, see how many muscles you can feel in your feet. Squeeze your toes in, make little fists with your feet. And then spread the toes really, 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 really wide. And then we're going to take our feet up to the ceiling, and we're going to look at our feet and notice if it feels different to spread our toes and look at them. Notice if you can feel a little more connection to your feet. Spread, 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 spread your toes as wide as you can. See if you can get a little more space between each toe. And then squeeze them in, curl them in, find some more muscles in your feet. Notice if you feel a little more connected when you look at your feet. And then take your feet nice and soft, and we're gonna take little slow circles with the feet. So just keeping an eye on your hips, keeping grounded through the hips. Take slow circles with the feet, trying to feel every angle your foot can move in. Watching your breath, trying to remain with your breath nice and slow, trying not to hold the breath. Reverse the circles with your feet. Bring your knees in, give yourself a little hug. And we're going to take circles with our knees. So hips grounded, just trying to work with your legs in your hips. So long, slow circles of the knees, trying to feel all the ways that your leg can move within the hip joint. And then reverse your circles, nice and slow, really slow, trying to feel all the muscles that make your legs move within your hip. And then bring your knees back. We're going to start to move with the muscles of the core. So press the hips down into the ground, press the rib cage down into the ground, and take your fingers to the muscles of the stomach. So this helps you stay connected. We're really trying to be connected in the present moment. Bring your feet even with your knees and your knees over your hips. Fingers or hands on your stomach to remind yourself that these are the muscles we're using. Try not to use the back. We're going to slowly press one leg away from us and then pull it back and press the other leg away. Pedaling our legs nice and slow, very controlled, moving with our breath. Try to keep all the heat in the stomach. Notice if it's starting to go up to your head. Keep an eye on your breath. Nice, slow, steady breath. Try to fire up and feel some more muscles in your legs. And bring your knees in, give yourself a little hug, reset. Bring your feet down, knees up, about hip width apart, ground down. We're going to leave the left shoulder on the ground, hips very grounded. Fire up the muscles of the stomach. We're going to take our right hand across the body towards the left knee and push. Little pulses here. Squeeze and push. Head can remain on the ground here. Helps keep the tension out of the neck. You want to use your core muscles, stomach muscles, to make this movement happen. Watch for tension in the neck. Bring your body back to neutral. Take your left hand across. Fire up the core, and then little pulses, little tiny pulses across body. Leave the head where the neck is comfortable, really focusing in on the stomach muscles. Pull them tight. Bring the torso back to neutral. Bring the arms down to the ground. Take the hips, side, knees side to side, sway the hips. Reset. Feet down, and we're going to work on lifting our hips with our breath. So feet down, knees up. Start to fire up the muscles of the backs of the legs, the glutes, and then see if you can also fire up the muscles of the stomach. So really see how many muscles you can connect with first. And then inhale, lift the hips, exhale, lower. Work with the breath. Inhale, lift, Exhale, lower, nice and slow. Staying present with the body. So what we're looking for is to connect with the body, connect with the muscles that make our hips move. We're not looking to push the hips up so that we make a huge arch. We're looking to keep our neck nice and soft. We're looking to find muscles that are in the front to pull our hips up, and then the glutes and the backs of the legs. And maybe even adding that gentle pause at the end of the exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, slowly with control, lower. Gentle pause. And maybe even bring your hands to your stomach so you really can help yourself focus on the muscles that you're trying to use. Staying connected in present moment, staying connected with your breath. Lower the hips, take the legs out long, not quite straight, little tiny bend in the knees, and then press the toes away from you. Press, 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 find the front of the feet, find the front of the shins, press the toes away. Take the arms up overhead and reach as long as you can. Really thinking about the front of the feet, trying to press the toes down towards the ground. And then we're going to make a banana shape on the ground. So take the feet over to the right and the shoulders over to the right. Lengthening that left side. Lengthening left side body. Imagine you could press your breath in between each rib on the left side. Fill up your lungs nice and slow. Empty your lungs fully. Connect with your breath, with what's going on in your body and your practice. And then slowly slide over to the other side, feet and shoulders to the left, opening up right side body. And breathe. Slowly bring the body back to neutral, and we're going to roll right over onto our stomachs. So coming forward onto our stomachs, crocodile pose. So one hand on top of the other, forehead down. Shimmy the hips, loosen and soften. Find your breath. And we're going to work with the muscles of the back. So again, working nice and slow with our breath. Hands for balance wherever they're comfortable. We're going to try and fire up the backs of the legs, the glutes, and the whole back evenly. We want to not pull the head backwards, but keep the head even. We're going to inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Trying to fire up the muscles of the back. Trying to use everything evenly. So notice, find all the muscles of your back. Notice if you're using low back more than upper back. Notice if you're firing up the glutes more than the rest of the back. Try to find all the muscles in your back and use them evenly. Maybe beginning to lift feet and hands. Watch for tension in the neck, so really think about lifting up and getting longer from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Make space for your spine. And then bring yourself up to a comfortable place where you can hold some strength. Hands can remain down or lift and hover. We want bent elbows. We're going to move left and right. So we're going to inhale, center, exhale, bring right shoulder towards right hip. Inhale, center, exhale, bring left shoulder towards left hip. Again, hands can be down. So, as you're doing this, you want to be nice and gentle and slow with your body. Remain present. You want to check for any tension you're pulling into your neck. Be careful and mindful. Toes can be up or down. And then bring it on down to crocodile. Shimmy the hips. Listen and soften. What can you let go of? Slowly bring yourself up so your forearms can be placed down on the ground. So engage the forearms. So we want to push our hands into the ground and then feel like you're trying to pull your hands apart without letting them move. Fire up the muscles of the arms and the front of the chest and shoulders. We're going to lift. So pull your sternum like you're trying to pull your sternum through the shoulders. Try not to yank the skull backwards, just making length, but being active and strong through the chest and shoulders. Hold here. Press the tops of the feet down into the ground. Try to fire up the arms and shoulders a little more. See if you can find a little more space across the chest. So we're going to do an exercise here for imagining making space across the chest and shoulders. So think about all that tension that we often feel with anxious feelings across the chest and shoulders. We're going to bring as much strength to the chest and shoulders here as we possibly can. So really fire up the hands. You should feel nice and strong. Take your fingers to the front of your chest and shoulders. Make these muscles tired. So we're going to really fire them up. Press your hands down into the ground. Feel like you're pulling your elbows apart without letting them move. Strong in the chest and shoulders. And then we're going to really think about bringing a ball of energy right in front of our throat and chest. We're going to think about that ball of energy being cleansing, fresh energy, and we're going to imagine that we could breathe right into the center of our chest. That fresh, cleansing energy. And if that helps, you can sigh out of the mouth a little. Imagine cleaning out some stagnant air from the throat. Really drawing in fresh breath and really getting out stagnant air. Keeping that muscle tension across the chest. Maybe the muscles are starting to get tired. That's a good thing. We really want them tired. Make them tired. Think about being open, open, open through the chest, breathing in through the chest, cleansing. And then take it down to crocodile. Shimmy the hips, shimmy the shoulders. See if you can get softer, softer, softer through the shoulders. And what can you let go of? Maybe imagining all the weight of gravity pulling your shoulders down into the ground. And your shoulders just letting their burden go. Softening, 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 softening into the ground. And then we're going to lift up just to give ourselves a little space. We're going to take the left hand out, even with the shoulder, place it down on the ground. So place the palm of the hand down on the ground. Press it into the ground first. So really fire up the shoulder in the front of the shoulder a little first. And then you're going to just play with pulling the shoulder down and around. Down and around. So moving in all the ways that the shoulder can move in. Nice and slow. Watch for tension in the neck. Just keep the head where the neck is comfortable. Move the shoulder around. See if you can find some holding patterns. Maybe you can find a little more freedom in the shoulder. You move and experience your shoulder. Maybe the shoulders feel a little tired. And then bring it onto the other side. So take the right hand out even with the shoulder. Press into the ground and then move the shoulder around. Just trying to relieve some tension. Get some freedom in the shoulder. Nice and slow with some muscle engagement. So you're moving your shoulder around, trying to have an internal experience in the shoulder. So you're really trying to feel your own shoulder, your own holding patterns. Trying to be content to be in this practice, to feel your own body. And trying not to think about what somebody else's body looks like or what the shape is supposed to be. Let go of that world of shoulds and have an experience in your own body. Slowly bringing yourself back to child's pose, pressing into the hands, tucking the toes up, sending the hips back towards the toes. So have an experience in child's. Letting your lower back feel more open, your knees, your feet, wherever is comfortable. Maybe resting your forehead down, maybe resting your forehead on your fists. Slowly bring yourself to a hovering child's pose. So we're going to take our knees wide if your knees are not already wide. You're going to hover in your child's pose. You can leave your fingertips down. You're going to tuck the pelvis, and you're going to tuck the pelvis and then release. So tuck and release. It's a teeny tiny movement. So you're going to release, soft, teeny tiny tuck. Pull tight. Pull tight and soft. Pull tight and soft. If you want to pump it up just a little bit, you can start to hover and do pull tight and soft. Pull tight and soft. It's a really tiny controlled movement using all those muscles deep in the inner core, close to the spine, not the six-pack. Try to let go of the idea of the six-pack and think of the muscles that are way deeper. And then bring yourself to a tabletop position. We're going to move with our breath in tabletop. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, child's. Towards a child's. Having your own experience, you can sway, you can take some more spinal movements. Having your own experience, what feels right in your body for you today. Bring it back to tabletop. Set up your base so you're not sinking and buckling into your shoulders, but lifting up strong and active through the shoulders and chest. Right leg out, even with the hip. Bend the knee, send the heel to the ceiling. Little pulses. Watch for buckling in the back. Stay stable in your base. Take the right leg long. Bend the knee and bring it towards the right hip. So hold it here, fire hydrant pose. Little pulses. So you're going to bring the knee closer to the hip, closer to the shoulder. You can take the left hand out to help you balance a little more. Watch for sinking and buckling into that right shoulder. Pull the knee, pull the heel up to the ceiling. Engaged. And then we're going to inhale, press the heel away. Exhale, squeeze the knee up. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze. Take the right leg long, lower the toes, press through the heel, either static or little pulses. Breathe. Lower the right knee, set up your base nice and strong in the shoulders. Left leg out even with the hip, bend the knee, little pulses. Steady base. Watch for buckling and movement in the back and shoulders. Breathe. And then slowly bring the knee around to left shoulder. Hold it here. Little pulses. Hold and pulse nice and strong. Right arm can help you counterbalance. And then inhale, press the heel away. Exhale, squeeze it towards the left shoulder. Inhale, press. Exhale, squeeze. Keep the muscles of the left leg strong, connected to this practice on this mat in this moment. Stay present, have an experience. Take the left leg long, lower the toes. Press through the heel, either static or little pulses. Bring yourself back to tabletop and warm up your down dog. So tuck the toes, send the hips up. Find the down dog. Warm it up in whatever way feels right to you. And the next movement we're going to do is with our breath. Feel free to return to tabletop to child's pose if that's where you would prefer to be today. We're going to build a little fire, a little heat. So we're going to inhale forward to a flying dog. So not a hanging out, dropping the hips and being super soft, but a flying, engaged, lots of muscle strength. Exhale, down dog. So pull forward with muscles, with control, as if you're pulling from your pelvic bone forward. Fly forward, legs strong, shoulders strong. Exhale, pull from your tailbone back to down dog. Inhale, pull forward, strong core, open up. Exhale, pull back. Moving with your breath nice and slow. Take breaks when you need to. Make it smaller if you need to. Generate some heat and fire in the body. Find a down dog, hold a steady down dog, and we're going to use handstand to practice contentment. So, learning to be content with where you're at on your journey to handstand. Maybe you have it and you can hold a strong handstand. Maybe you're working somewhere on the way to it. Learning to be content with the journey on the way. Not necessarily being frustrated with where you're at. So we're going to start to work with getting a little hang time. You're going to bend both knees. We're going to send the right leg up. We're going to use the right leg, so bring it past the left. We're going to use the right leg up and over. So just begin to tap it up and over. Up and over. Bending this left knee. Getting used to this feeling. Using right leg engaged. So right leg stays engaged. And then we're going to start to pull up. Maybe bringing ourselves up into more and more strength in the shoulders. And then maybe you can start to hop it and get some hang time. So, little hop off the left foot. Trying to stay so strong that when you land on this left foot, there's no noise. Nice and strong. Maybe you get some hang time. Maybe you don't. And then find a down dog. Wherever you're at. Let go. Left leg comes up and over. Starting to just feel the movement of lifting the left leg up and over. Strong leg. And then maybe starting to hop it up and over. Land light. Wherever you're at, down dog. Let go. Turn your world upside down. Bend your knees, look towards the hands and either float or step forward. Forward fold. Let go. Bring your hands behind your back. You can clasp your hands. If you can clasp your hands, otherwise just bring them back. We're going to let our hands fall forward. Breathe. Let your stomach find your thighs. Breathe. Bend the knees. Inhale as you rise up, nice and slow. Let your hands go. Maybe even shake them out. Shake out your shoulders. We're going to connect to our breath. Inhale up. Exhale down to our heart. Bring your prayer to your heart. Let your heart touch your chest. Let your prayer touch your chest. Saying to yourself, I am here now. I am here now. We're going to work on our balance. So, being content with where we are in our balance, learning to be content with the wobbles. So we're going to practice with tree today. So keeping an eye on our hips, maybe bringing your hands here so you can really know where they are. Start to bring the weight onto the left leg. Bring the right leg onto the ball of the foot. Find some strength. So you're going to imagine you're pulling your hip bones in towards each other and then your stomach back to your spine. So really find some strength first. Pull up from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. Get nice and long. Bring the right leg forward, bent knee. Hold it here. Little soft bend in the left leg. Watch for the hips, so watch for the hips going left and right. Watch for all the strength coming into the side of this left hip. Breathe in, hold here. So, being content with where you are at. Take your right foot to your shin. Even if your tree pose is typically different, take it to your shin. We're going to have an experience here. Take it to your shin and then press your shin into your foot and your foot into your shin. Notice how that feels. Get a little strength in the front of the left shin.
Get a lot of strength in the right leg. Now pull the knee open and notice how that feels. So watch for what you're doing. Pull the knee open without taking your hips uneven. See if you can do it. Use your hands to counterbalance if you need it. Be strong in the leg. Now, change your tree pose to what you might like typically. Maybe you're going to grab the right foot and go for a full bind, bringing the right foot onto the left thigh. So if you get this, try the same thing. Press the thigh into the foot into the thigh, and try to keep the right leg active. Breathe. Get taller, 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 taller in this bind. Notice that they feel like two different poses. Slowly unravel and bring the right foot up. Lower the right foot, tap out the left. And we're going to do the whole thing on the other side. So bring the hips even. Notice where they're at. Little soft bend in the knees. Get strong as if you're pulling the hip bones in towards each other, stomach back to the spine, and you're getting longer from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Left foot comes onto the ball of the foot. So, again, watch for taking all the strength into right hip, right thigh. Bring your hips in. Really try to get some inner strength in the core. Lift and hover the left leg. Breathe. Slowly bring the left foot to the right shin and press. So press the foot into the shin and the shin back into the foot. See if you can feel some strengthening happening in the right shin. Notice the wobbles. The wobbles and the counterbalancing is what makes the muscles stronger. Get taller, 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 taller. Now pull the left knee out to the left without moving the hips. See if you can find inner thigh muscles. Breathe. Taller, taller, taller. And then take a tree pose. Maybe you bring the foot up to the thigh. Maybe you can come to the full half bind. Bring the left foot onto the top of the right thigh, trying to keep the hips even. Get really, really tall. And active left leg. Active left foot. Active right leg, soft bend in the knee. Get tall, 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 tall. Breathe. Slowly unravel. And then bring the left foot down, tap out the right. Connect to your breath. Inhale up. Exhale, purr to heart. Inhale up. Exhale, purr to heart. Bring your prayer to heart and repeat to yourself, I am here now. Pick up your toes, wiggle your toes, move the weight around onto the edges of your feet and then on to the other side. Really trying to have an experience in your legs and your feet. Move the toes, feel the toes as you move. Trying to be here now in this body, maybe even closing your eyes and really feeling the feet and the muscles in the legs. Land the feet, and we're going to move the hips side to side. So move the hips side to side. Moving the hips. Trying to feel the hips. Land the hips neutral. And we're going to take the rib cage side to side. Trying to have an experience in our own body. Maybe really pulling up one armpit, stretching one side and then the other. Noticing your own body. Bring the shoulders back to neutral and take the head side to side, nice and slow, experiencing your own body, your own holding patterns. Nice slow breath. Head back to neutral, peel up one heel at a time, nice and slow, trying to feel your feet. Bring your feet back down, and we're going to inhale up and swan dive it down. Come to a forward fold. If you have a block, you're going to grab your block and have it handy. Hang out in a forward fold, let go. Turn your world upside down. Breathe. Shake out any tension in the neck, gentle, soft, slow. And then if you have your block, you're going to place your hands on your block, take your feet a little bit wider, and we're just going to bend the knees and lower the hips. Straighten up the legs, bend the knees, lower the hips, working with your hips. Slowly coming down towards Malasana Yogi Squat, so make your way down there. Once you get down there, come to your maximum yogi squat where you're hanging out without attention, and then lift up a little more. So find that maximum point where you're just sinking into the joints and you're just hanging, and then engage, find your muscles, hold, and maybe take some of the body weight onto the blocks. So use your hands to take some of the body weight and move through the hips. So take a little soft movement through the hips, maybe pulling one knee open at a time, really soft and slow. Watching your own holding patterns. And then wherever you're at, you're going to slowly make your way down to a seat and make your way down to your back. We're going to take the block and we're going to place it just between the knees. And we're going to squeeze the block. So thin side between the knees, not on the knee joint, but just underneath, using the fleshy muscles to squeeze the block. Get centered, get your hips even. Watch for using your lower back. So watch for too much squishing of your lower back down onto the ground. Try to keep your hips, so you're pressing your hip bones down into the ground, and a nice natural soft curve in your lower back. Squeeze the block, and we're going to squeeze on and squeeze off. Finding the muscles of the inner thigh. Squeeze on, squeeze off. Release the block, take it wide way, so wide way in between the legs. Now squeeze in and squeeze off. See if you use a slightly different muscle group. Hold in the block in between your legs. Bring the soles of the feet slowly together. So slowly towards each other, keeping the squeeze of the block. So squeezing the block really, really tight and keeping the hips so that you're pushing the hips down towards the ground and the rib cage down towards the ground. And bring your hands to your stomach so you know which muscles you're trying to use. We're going to take our knees left and right, really slow and controlled. Little, slowly, tiny movement. You're going to start to feel it. You're going to find the muscles that we're using there right in front of the hip bone. Breathe. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze.
Don't use the back for this. You're trying to find these muscles right in deep in front of the hips. Squeeze, squeeze the block a little more. Breathe. Fire up the stomach. Keep the stomach fired up. Little tiny movements left and right. You can do it. Keep going. I am here now. I am on the mat. I'm in this body. I'm having this experience. And then release the block. Bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. And take the legs up and give them a shake. Let's shake it out. Loosen the muscles. Soften. Bring the knees back in. And we're back to where we started. What feels different? Take a look in. So part of the practice of contentment is to be able to look in and inquire within without judgment. So can you look in your physical body and notice what is different without trying to do the what should and should not be there? So bring your feet down, knees up, rest your knees in, and start to look in. Notice what is present in any muscles. Notice any difference in any muscles. Maybe there's some heat. Maybe there's some tiredness. Maybe some things feel more open. Maybe some things feel more tight. There are no right or wrong answers. There are just answers. Just getting to know ourselves. Beginning to really let go. Soften into the ground and make a decision about where your body wants to be for your resting pose. We need it. So our resting pose might be Shavasana, might be full corpse pose, or maybe it's something different for you. So see where you need to be for your resting pose today. And start to land on the ground. Loosening, softening. Letting go. Find your breath and notice if your breath is still tight. Notice if it's a little easier to slow down and breathe. And then we're going to bring our focus to our shoulder blades and think about our shoulder blades being big, heavy bones in our back. So we're going to let the shoulder blades land into the muscles of our back as if they're lead weights, and they're just going to drop into the muscles of our back. Gravity is going to help pull them into the muscles of the back, and we're going to be supported by the ground below us. Obviously, if you are not on your back, you're going to adjust the concept of where your shoulders are dropping to. But start to connect with heavy shoulder blades that are just dropping. Start to connect with loosening and softening all the muscles across the front of the shoulders, letting them drop their burden. Think about the muscles across the left shoulder, so across underneath the left collarbone, all the way to the tip of the shoulder. Think about softening here, softening from the center of the collarbone all the way up to the tip of the left shoulder blade, left shoulder. Think about being fresh and open and soft. Maybe starting to be so tingly and so soft and so open that you're starting to even feel this softness and tingly, open freshness spread up into your neck, into your jaw. Imagine you could send fresh, open energy all the way up the left side. Left shoulder is soft. Left side of the neck is soft. Left side of your jaw is soft. And then bring all your focus to the right collarbone. Think about sending fresh, softening, opening, tingling energy across to the tip of the right shoulder, from the collarbone all the way across. Softening, loosening. If you're visual and it helps you to think of a ball of energy, opening, loosening, and softening the space, give it a color, give it a temperature. Whatever helps you connect with opening, softening, loosening in this space. And then send that softness slowly tingling, trickling up the right shoulder, all the way up the right side neck into right jaw. Softening, loosening, letting go. And then bring your focus into the center of the brain, not into the mind, not into the thoughts, but imagining you could rest your full attention at the very center of the brain, the part that is your automatic responses. So the part that controls your breathing and all the things you don't have to think about. Imagine you could rest yourself right in that center part of your brain. Right at the point where all the messages from the body meet. So that's the point where your spine meets your brain. Rest here. Imagine all the thoughts are at the top layer of your brain. All those swirling thoughts that happen, they're just neurons firing. And you can even imagine like electrical pulses moving across the top of your brain. Imagine you could see them from this point. So imagine all of your focus is right here, the tip of the spine. And you could look back at the top of the brain as if the inside of your skull were like a movie screen. And you could look up and you could see all these firings of the mind, like little electrical pulses. And as you start to notice a thought pattern or an image or something that's bothering you, something that draws you away, try to gently pull back from that thought and notice it as a pulse. See it as a pulse. Give it a visual. And it's not that we stop the pulses. It's not that we want to control the pulses. It's that we get to be content with the pulses, with the firings of the brain. Knowing that the mind can fire. It can be rapid, it can be slow, it can take whatever pattern it likes. It's starting to be comfortable with the fact that that is not our whole story. We are not only these firings of our brain, we are a whole human experience. So if you can sit in the center of your mind and you can look at the thoughts, who is it that notices the thoughts? And people with anxious feelings often have a very intense desire to cognitively categorize our world and control it. So when I ask you who is it that controls the thoughts, try to allow an experience to happen to that question rather than actually answering the question. Who is it that notices the thoughts? Maybe understand that you're a little bit more than just the thoughts. whether you already have a concept that you cling to. Maybe you have a concept that you know, your spiritual self. Maybe you've read the teachings in yoga and you connect to the layer, the bliss layer, the spiritual layer in between, in the center. In the teachings of yoga, we have layers. It's just a way of breaking up the human experience to help us understand it a little more. So the layer in, deep within, the bliss layer, is the layer that kind of guides the whole human experience. The mind is there, the thoughts are there to help guide us, to help us maneuver through the human experience. But they're not the whole story. So as you lay and take your rest, practice seeing the thoughts that drag you away as firings of the mind. Noticing when you're being drawn off your mat, off your practice, and bring yourself gently back to coming deeper and looking inward. Seeing if you can find the piece that glues you together. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, you're going to begin to bring in little gentle movements to the fingers and the toes. Then start to make your way into a fetal position, whatever side is calling to you. Taking a moment to wrap yourself in that bliss layer. So allowing it to shine through your whole existence, softening, letting go, loosening. And as you come to a seated position, imagine you are wrapped in a bubble of contentment, coming from your bliss layer out through all of the layers of your human experience out into your world. So imagine accepting yourself as whole and complete, being wholly content in this moment, and then sending that out, maybe to someone in particular, or perhaps just in general. Imagine sending it out and affecting the lives of those that you come into contact with. May we all know a little contentment, even if it's just little pieces that we slowly string together. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. Thank you so much for joining me.